Hi, I'm Shaman Jeff at the Village Mystic. My story began very early in life as my mom was 5'11" with green eyes and Rh negative blood. My blood type is O positive. The doctors told her I'd never be born alive since she had already had 2 miscarriages and the pill still wasn't available. But through it all, I seemed to come through it okay. But it did create some weird circumstances in which a lot of weird events happened in my life. I have seen many, many miracles of healing taking place with people that I just touch or send energy to. And items, artifacts just seem to come to me. Here I have 2 of the ancient crystal skulls. And these were found in Mongolia. These are what they would call the Dropa skulls. Many stories attached to the Dropa stones and a lot of mystery there, so it's quite intriguing. More recently, I acquired one of the Nomoli stones from my friend Ben. I'll call him Nomoli Ben just for fun. But he's been over in Africa collecting these stones. And he showed up here because in this little city of Bradenton, he ran into somebody as he was showing these stones, and they told him that I was a shaman. So he decided to come by the store here, plus he wanted to see the ancient skulls. And so as he showed me these stones and then came back and worked with the skulls for a minute, and he was asking questions, and he told me that his mother had cancer and that she was a wonderful person, open to energy, and any prayers she would receive welcomely. And then at the end of him being here, he asked me if I would like to keep one of these stones for a couple days and tell him what I thought they were for, because he didn't tell me anything about them. And so I started working with these, and every time I was doing healing work on somebody, the stone was wanting to get involved. It was wanting to come into the exercise. And so a month later, I still hadn't heard from Ben. And I'm somebody that walks a path of liking things to be in balance. So at that point in time, I decided that I was going to do a lot of prayers and hold on to this stone and direct them towards Ben's mother. And 3 weeks later, Ben called and he said, "Jeff, what did you feel from my stones?" And I said, "Well, they were left here for healing. They have been turning up in the farms, from the farmers in Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia as they're tilling the soil." And so I said, "They're for healing." And he said, "Well, imagine that. I'm over in Africa working with the shamans there. They tell me these are for healing. I meet this shaman in this little city called Bradenton, and he tells me they're for healing without knowing what had been said prior. Would you help me by writing a little bit for me as I'm working on a book?" And I said, "Ben, the energy has been out of balance. I was only supposed to have these a couple days. I know it's not my fault that you didn't get back a hold of me, but I still felt like I had to balance the energy. And so I did a lot of prayers for your mom, and I was working with this particular stone, the Nomoli stone." And he said, and I said, "About 3 weeks ago." And he said, "Well, that explains it, Jeff." And I said, "Explains what?" And he said, "Well, my mom's cancer went into remission 3 weeks ago. So these stones are doing a lot of good." But what was more interesting is I had 2 of these at one time, and Ben's got a 3rd one of the same stone. And I kept looking at this face because there was something that was just so familiar about it. And all at once it hit me, and I went and I dug out a stone that an archaeologist friend of mine had gifted to me back years ago. This came out of Machu Picchu. And I don't know detail oriented if you can see it well with the camera we're using or the lighting. But this is the same deity on these 2 stones. So how this came about being that there's the same depiction on a stone out of Machu Picchu as one coming out of Africa is quite interesting. So I want to thank you, and I just wanted to share that with you today. Create a beautiful day for yourself.